Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I do reviews and reactions to TV shows, movies, celebs, politics news. You get the gist. But tonight I'm doing an episode. Sorry, I'm not gonna cut that out, but I'm gonna do a review on The Bachelor. Every episode is just, to me, they made a comment that this is halfway through the season. I'm like, where did the time go? I know I've done a lot of reviews on the season, but I'm like, are we already halfway? Like, I almost feel like there's not really like a clear dead set winner. Normally I feel like at this point you would be like, oh, this is the person who's gonna win, but I'm not even at that point, so I'm surprised we're already halfway. But I'm just gonna go through my notes. They're over here on the side, so if you see me look over, I'm just going through my notes in chronological order of everything that happened. So immediately we see Victoria and Kit walking, and then the new girls, I didn't remember their names at this point, and she's saying how she loves the OG girls, the new girls are disgusting. There's just like that divide that's just really unnecessary, and I hate when they bring new people in, whether it's Love Island or this, because they always have this, we're the OG, we're the original ones, these new people don't stand a chance. You guys were all picked at the same time, or I don't really know how this works, but you guys were all picked to go on the show. Just because you got on here maybe a week or two ahead does not make you any better. Maybe you learned more about Matt within that week already, but they're still here for the same purpose. So there's no reason for there to be a divide. But Victoria is no one likes Victoria, bottom line. So that's pretty much it. So just kind of annoying to see her putting down everyone else continually in every episode. There's never a person she's not talking down on, but that goes on for a little bit. And then we see that the new girls are struggling to fit in. They're kind of just in silence whenever they're around the other girls. The other girls are kind of either in silence and like talking amongst each other, or just not giving any of the new girls any chance to really like fit in and talk, because even though they're all there to date Matt, the old girls still kind of have a friendship somewhat. So it's like, there shouldn't be this divide. It shouldn't be this to me, but that's just kind of what they caused. Brittany is still feeling relatively upset about the circumstances that were started by Anna. Anna had started to tell the house, or at least one person, which means the whole house, that Brittany is an escort. It got back to Brittany because Anna essentially confronted her about it, and she's still feeling some type of way about it, regardless of Anna apologizing for it, which she really didn't, because she continued to talk about it after telling Brittany she talked about it. It's just still kind of like that unresolved drama that needs to be discussed, because we saw that Katie told Matt in the previous episode at the very end that there was drama that's going on that needs to be resolved. But the thing is, like, I almost feel like Katie's almost there to be the savior for everyone versus actually dating Matt. So I feel like she is being there, and it's good, because sometimes when we see people being bullied on TV, we're always curious, like, why is there no one to defend them? Why is no one standing up? Katie's being that person, but I'm almost like, are you even really trying to date Matt now? Like, I feel like you're so focused on that you and Matt don't even have a connection at this point. So it's kind of like interesting. I almost feel like he'd keep her just so she can like tell him information versus like having like a romantic relationship with her. But then at the rose ceremony / cocktail party, Matt confronts everybody. He's like, hey, I have stuff to discuss. I've heard people's names being thrown around. I've heard name calling happening, bullying, the escort situation. So he's addressing that and saying that he needs to talk about it before the cocktail party can even happen. So he's pulling the girls one by one who were either brought into it, talked about it, or talked about in regards to it. And you can already tell that Anna is on edge, because she is the main culprit of that situation. She is the one who brought up the rumor and let it kind of fester to what it is now. He first pulls Brittany, and she's really down and like crying about it, or at least about to be crying, and saying that she was broken when that happened, and she kind of hasn't felt the same since it happened. And like, it's just, she didn't come here to be bullied, which I get. Like, imagine coming here, I guess, to find a guy, and like, maybe, you know, you might have some drama with some girls, but instead, like, they're kind of targeting you personally, and that's kind of a lot, because like, it's COVID, so you put your life, I won't say your life on the line, that sounds really dramatic, but maybe, but you're putting like your life on pause to come on a show just to end up getting name called and called an escort, when they shouldn't even be talking about that. That's her personal life issue, is, you know, things like that. But then as Matt's having his one-on-one time with Brittany, Victoria feels the need to be like, so who said the rumor? Who's saying this? Who's talking to Matt? And of course, no one's going to say anything, at least at that point, because Victoria is just too much. I'm not going to say that anyone's intimidated by her or scared by her by any means, but it's just like, she needs to get out, basically. That's like the main consensus of everybody. Like, it's just, Victoria's too much, and she is just annoying to me. But when Anna was wincing about like the whole situation, knowing it was about her, MJ was there to console her and say that she's okay, and like, stop kind of making it bigger than what it is. Don't console her. We know it's her, and you're consoling her because you know she's affiliated and you know that she's in the wrong. But MJ is just being a little bit too much for the past couple of episodes. She's kind of turning into like the bad person here. I don't really know if I want to say she's instigating anything or she's really saying anything, but her actions aren't really doing well either. Anna's eventually pulled by Matt, and he's like, hey, so I was told some stuff. Can you give me some insight? And Anna obviously has to admit, because it's her name being told by everybody, that it's her who's saying everything. And Matt's like, I had to do this. This is just like me standing up for everyone. This is me being like the good person here. Like I have to respect everyone else's time. You can kind of just tell like where the conversation's going. They're not even looking at each other. She's crying, he's looking down. And eventually he's like, Anna, you have to leave right now. So he walks her out and she's crying. And it's like, imagine you just opening your mouth about someone that had nothing to do with you, nothing to do with your game. You get eliminated because of that. Like you couldn't close your mouth when it had nothing to do with you. And that's embarrassing, because I'm not going to say she had like that much of a chance to last longer. I didn't really know their connection like that. But the fact that that's the reason why, not because you guys fell out, I would be so upset. But you know, I just think that she's sorry that she got caught. She's not sorry that she said it. She's sorry that she had to get eliminated for that reason. And when that happens, all the girls start kind of saying, I'm sorry, oh my God, OMG girls, I'm sorry, or OMG. The OG girls start saying, I'm sorry to the new girls. Victoria is apologizing to Brittany, saying that I'm sorry that people were targeting you when she was that person. Victoria also says sorry to Catalina for taking her crown. You're saying sorry now when that was when she first got here. You're just deciding to cover up your tracks due to the fact that you can see, wow, someone can actually get eliminated due to what they said or their actions. And now you feel the need to apologize? Girl, miss me with that. That's just kind of how I felt about it. You were just talking about her at the beginning of the episode. So now you feel like you need to apologize? And the new girls are on, so they're kind of like, it took now this happening, like you couldn't apologize last night or when it happened, but it took this happening. I'm on edge about her. She can apologize as she wants to, but I'm not really buying it. It's kind of like what they're saying. I don't blame them, because I would be the same about it too. Eventually we see Ryan. She's one of the new girls. She goes to Matt and she's crying now because she said that Victoria called her a hoe because she's a dancer. And I'm like, when did Victoria have all this time to talk about people? When did Victoria have this time to meet all these people and have things to say about them? How does being a dancer relate to being like, at this point, if she's a producer-fed person or whatever that means in the TV world, do you want to be known as that? That's just my thing. Like, one thing's being like, I'm drama and I'm going to be remembered for the show because I was the annoying person. Do you want to be remembered like that? That's my inquiry about all this, just saying. And then Matt sits down with Victoria, the queen, as she calls herself, to confront her about the bullying. And he didn't send her home right there. I thought he was going to send her packing in that minute. So it's kind of like, oh God, we're on edge. Is Victoria going to leave? Because Anna almost did the bare minimum, which was still really bad. But Victoria is just that main denominator, numerator, whatever words to use. And you didn't send her home then? Seems a little fishy to me. So eventually Matt is just completely lost and over his head. And he's like, I'm going to cut off the cocktail party and go straight to the rose ceremony. But he doesn't say it himself. Chris Harrison does it for them. And the girls are kind of just on edge because the cocktail party is essentially that opportunity to talk to Matt if you haven't talked to him in like a day or two, which is really wild that happens. But some girls just get more time than others. After this happens, Victoria goes outside to go and like vent, I guess, to the producers. And she's like on the ground kind of squatting like, this is just so annoying. I'm the only girl who has a brain cell. These girls are nothing. I'm wife material. And I'm like, did she not know that the other girls couldn't hear her? Because we could, besides us, obviously the cameras were going to follow her, but the girls were looking out and like, was it happening? I'm like, at this point, again, I'm not saying it matters because it's TV and you're going to see whatever's recorded, but I was just like, I know that's not the biggest thing to be confused about, but I was just like, I am confused with how loud she was. Like, was the door open? Because the girls are all looking over. And at that point, like, we already know Victoria doesn't care what anyone thinks, but that was a lot. And I'm like, this is just very cringeworthy. So I was sitting there like, what is happening? Like, where do they find her? Where do they find this Victoria girl? And why would, please get her off. Like, I'm not even invested in any plot involving Victoria. It's just dumb at this point, like dragged out. But then we get to the rose ceremony. There's quite a bit of girls who already had roses. And I was like, whoa, one of these times happened. I'm assuming that's the group date roses. So I guess 2 of those maybe, and then 2 one-on-one. So there's probably 4 roses already out. And he starts giving them out one by one. And he finally sent Victoria home and hit the fan. She hugged no one, including Matt. She also was like, you're dumb for this. I can't believe that you didn't pick me. You are losing out. Like, I'm the person that you should have picked. Or not even like I'm the person you should have picked. She's just over him at this point, allegedly or whatever, and saying he's not her king. If he can't pick her, then he's not worth it. Like, it was just like awkward because he didn't say anything. And I don't know if I expected him to say anything, because who would want to be like, you're dumb for not picking me? Cool. Like, it was just very awkward. And I just didn't like that had to be said. And she walks off upset about it, crying. I'm like, yay, Victoria's gone. I was gonna say Queen Victoria, but she doesn't deserve that, but Victoria's gone. And it was just like, okay, whatever. And this is when Chris Harrison did officially mention that we're halfway through the season, and I just lost count of the episodes. That's when I was like, oh my God, this is almost over. What am I gonna watch after this? We learned that Rachel earned the one-on-one date with Matt, and they go on a shopping spree. That's when I was like, is it Matt's expense? Is it the show's expense? Homegirl's in like some upscale store, again, Louboutins, some dresses here, there. I said, okay, like it's a cool, nice expense for you, but this is really a date. So he's just kind of watching her trying on dresses and trying on these nice ass shoes as if he's the one paying for it. I don't know. But it was just like, okay, that's a cool date. But she's the person I've seen a lot of buzz about on TikTok. Not that I watched the TikToks, but I saw her name associated with it on Twitter. So I'm like, okay, people are saying she's not a good person. So I don't really know if I'm rooting for her like that, but cool date, you know, whatever. But did anyone else peep how bitter / sad Piper is getting? She was like, I want the one date, or I want the one-on-one date, Rose. She didn't get it. She was like, other things happen, her face down. She was on the group date. I'm like, I get it. I don't know if they're focusing on her because she had like the most expressive face expressions during these moments, or she's just been really sad lately. And it's just like, girl, you made it this far, if anything. I'm not going to say that like you're going to be all joyous and happy because he's not really talking to you, but some people have been eliminated for the past weeks and you're still here, which means something. But I don't know, girl, pucker up a little bit. You're on The Bachelor, have fun. I don't know, you're here for a reason still. But then at the end of Matt and Rachel's date, Rachel's saying that she's starting to fall for him and he's like, I'm falling for you too. How much time have y'all had together? Sorry, how much time have y'all had together to fall for each other? But you can fall in love in a second, apparently, on the TV show. The other girls have a group date and it's on a farm, and I'm not really sure the objective other than like picking up things and getting down and dirty, because he said he's from a farm or from the country, so it's supposed to be his roots and it's supposed to show them getting down and dirty and like, I don't know, going down to what he likes, whatever. And it was just girls throwing things around, picking up things, MJ screaming because she was scared about stuff, and then Piper and Matt having a makeout session, even though Piper was really sad about not having one-on-one time with him. So it's like, yay, Matt, yay, Piper, you're crying about it, and now you get some time with him. It was just very awkward because like I didn't really think about like him making out when all the girls are like within range, I guess, because MJ walked in on them. Like, that's just really weird, because I can only imagine like this is someone you're also dating at the same time, but it's really close in proximity and you can see that, and is that weird? But that's the whole show, and you kind of just know that going in there. But I guess it's different being on the other side of the screen when your own feelings are invested, I can imagine. Chelsea and Matt have a one-on-one time, and I'm reminded how beautiful that Black woman is, but we haven't really seen too much of her. Abigail and Matt have a one-on-one conversation. You're reminded how beautiful she is on the inside as well out. We are basically reminded of why she got the first impression rose on the first night and why everyone really likes her. Matt and Michelle get a chance to talk, and he's expressing how, and she expresses to him how difficult it is for her to like share him, because she went from having a one-on-one date to a group date. Two different kind of experiences, because you have that dedicated one-on-one time versus you trying to fight for his attention with other girls when there's like competitive girls in the same group. It's just kind of interesting, because I can only imagine. After that, Matt and MJ have a chance to talk. After that, Matt states that it's like something he's been like battling, that he needs to talk to MJ because she's also part of the names that were included in the bullying situation. At that point, I was almost surprised, because I was like, is he not going to talk to her? Because I feel like she was almost equally involved as some of the other people. So I was surprised it took this long for him to finally mention her name. And he confronts her about it, and she denied it. And he also said that some people called her an antagonist, and she was saying she led by example. I don't really know what she meant by that in context. Like, I know what that means, but for this show and for what he was asking her about, I don't know how leading by example correlates to like bullying people and like saying things and making pointed comments and like staring at people in some type of way. Again, I know the definition, but for her saying it here didn't really make sense to me. I don't know, that was just okay. I don't know. MJ's just been a little bit much. If you've watched my other reviews, I have mentioned her because her attitude's kind of been weird to me, but she denied anything and said she had nothing to do with it, and kind of left the conversation being pissed because now her name's being dragged in the mud. When she walks out to the other girl, she asked them, who said my name? Do you guys know anyone who said my name? Which is not really the right time to say it, because it could be the other group of girls who are still in the house or just things like that. Jasenia eventually is like, yeah, I was saying your name. You were saying JV varsity from the OG and the new girls. And Michelle's like, what does that mean? Like, why were you saying that? And that means like JV is lower tier, the newer ones, varsity is the older girls, top tier essentially. And MJ, I think, kind of said like I was saying it in passing or not like that, but like, what else do you mean by that? But also MJ's like, why did you feel the need to address that? Like, you don't have to talk about me during your time. And Jasenia's like, I just felt like I need to say it. And they're just like going back and forth. I'm like, okay, there's not gonna be resolve here. Every time some of these arguments get that bad, they're just obvious there's no resolve, because eventually Katie comes in, the savior, and she's kind of saying like, yeah, like you're being defensive about it. So obviously it's clear that like you feel some type of way and you're not apologizing about it. And MJ's like, I'm just pissed. But I'm like, when you get that defensive about stuff, when someone calls you out, I just feel like you're guilty, because like you're defending it when you're like, shit, I got caught. I need to try and cover up my tracks. But MJ ultimately was like, I didn't admit that to Matt, and Jasenia got upset that she said that she didn't admit to it, and now she's gonna maybe go and tell Matt. I don't know, things just got really messy. Overall, Abigail got the group date rose, which was cute. I'm happy for her, and I expected it because Matt was like, I'm gonna give it to the person who opened up to me the most, which she did, because she opened up about her being deaf and like how that impacted her family and maybe how that would impact someone who wants to be with her in the long term. Kit gets the one-on-one date rose, and she gets really emotional because the card says like, we're gonna have time at my place, we're gonna have like a dinner date at my place, and she starts crying because she's like, he remembered the details about what I said with my mom about us in the kitchen. And we're like, okay, that's cool, it's her special place. And when they get to the date, I was confused. She was like, I grew up in the public eye with gold Bentleys. What did that have to do with Matt and or the date? It was a wholesome date in his place where you guys were cooking, and you're talking about, like, I know maybe it could have been like an other excerpt of a confessional and they kind of put that in together to make her seem snobby, who knows? But either way, when did she talk about that, and what context, and what did that have to do with the show and her being on The Bachelor? So I'm like, this girl just makes herself look all over the place and too rich and snobby. I don't know. And then when she's on the date with him, or is it the confessional or the date, she's talking about how she has high expectations to live up to because her mom's really successful. Again, you're here to find love. Why are you talking about your money and your lifestyle? Just leave that behind. Don't know. It kind of reminds me of Bennett from the last season on The Bachelorette. As a result of the episode, when everyone's in the house, there's a knock on the door and everyone's like, gosh, is it someone getting here? What's happening? And it's a card. The card stating that Jasenia and MJ, we need to resolve what happened. Obviously, there's no resolution. Like, we need to squash this. And everyone's like, ah, fuck. Because when there's drama, that means there's no time for the other girls to talk to him. Drama. That's just like the two things. Like, there's just no chance for them to talk, and whoever's in the drama is probably leaving. As Jasenia and MJ are getting ready, there's little like voiceovers and like confessionals about them getting ready. And MJ's like the only pissed one. Jasenia's like, yeah, she's gonna get exposed. Whereas MJ's like, this is just annoying, blah, 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 blah. So it's like, it almost kind of just confirms on my perspective that MJ is at fault, but the show is just crazy. So they eventually kind of both take their suitcases and go and meet. And while they're waiting for Matt, they are just fighting. Like, not like fighting physically, but like verbally fighting. And MJ Jasenia is like, you should be embarrassed. I'm pissed that we even have to have this conversation. Like, they were just going at it, and they were just talking over each other, telling the other person to stop talking. I'm like, okay, this is the end of it. Matt sat down. That was pretty much it. But I do not know who's leaving, because there was one rose on the table for dramatic effect, maybe, that maybe is going to go to one of them and the other one's going to leave. I don't see why Jasenia would go home, because like, it's not like she's stirring things. I don't know if MJ would say that she lied, because I don't think that's how it would go down, but who knows? I just, woo, mouthful. So that was the review. Let me know what y'all think in the comments, and see you on the next video. Bye.